Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, it was our fault. We made a mistake. The spotter said it was clear. It wasn't clear, and, I didn't want to tear my car up, tear his car up either. I respect everybody, and I demand respect. And, I apologized to the guy when he came over the car, explained to him what happened, and then he took it to another level when he started calling me an idiot and whatever else. And I don't appreciate that. I'm not going to take it. I told him how I feel. I called him out. He didn't show. And so, I'm good with it if he's good with it, but I'm not going to be disrespected by no means.
Yeah, I guess I had a dinner date at Applebee's last night that I didn't find out about until it was too late. It's a shame. Love their riblets and boneless wings, but...
Well, all right, folks, welcome back to Meet Me at Applebee's, your number one unrefined motorsports podcast. It's Brien here, as always, with Rob and Ashley. Folks, how we doing this week?
I'm pretty good. I spent the weekend with a sinus infection, and I also had to play a show, which, by the way, thanks for coming out if you did. And I shredded my voice during that set, so I was mostly mute on Saturday and for the weekend.
Is it from screaming Mel McDaniel songs?
That didn't help. It was actually a Rodney Crowell song that that sent me down the path of silence. But I'm fine. I feel okay now. Still a little Dayquil up, but that's all right. How about you, Truelove?
I'm same old here. Just happy to be here.
Hell yeah. Me too. How about you, Brian? We never asked Brian how he's doing. How are you, Brian?
I'm totally fine. It's just a normal Tuesday. I'm trying to hope my dog doesn't start barking. Got the new mic cable, so we're back in business. I sound normal again. Nobody can bitch about that.
Goddamn Dirty Mo show now. How clean this shit's gonna sound. It's great.
Crisp.
Yep. So there's some racing to talk about this weekend. There was a lot of different stuff going on, and let's start off with the two races that were just after the fact on Sunday.
Just because NASCAR put them out of order doesn't mean we have to talk about them out of order. So
yeah,
they were definitely an afterthought.
Yeah,
for sure. After a weekend at Daytona on Sunday, we got to spend I didn't really spend much time watching either of them, but ARCA and the trucks were on. ARCA was ARCA in Milwaukee?
Milwaukee
also?
Mile.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so they're both at Milwaukee. I didn't watch a second of that race, so I don't know if you guys have anything to say about it.
Again, dog shit. Not good.
Dog shit.
A Toyota won. So.
Yeah, it was a Swalich and Zilich show yet again.
Yeah, was Connor Zilich won like his 6th race of the year or something like that?
I think it was the other itch.
So Walich, yeah, sorry. Yeah. Who gives a shit?
One of those itches.
Yeah, they were... I think they were 5 seconds apart at the finish, and then third place was a good 28 seconds back or something like that. I'm not even kidding. That's like a real.
That's a real stat.
Yeah, it was bad. And then the truck race was a little better, I guess. Congratulations to Lane Riggs getting his first career truck win.
I totally forgot. I placed a bet on him, and that was a nice thing to see in my DraftKings account after the fact.
Yeah, I like Milwaukee. I really wish it just raced better. It looks like no one told. Also, I didn't realize it was the opening weekend of the truck playoffs, so that's a great job, Fox, for hyping that up, because I had no fucking clue.
I think Lane was the only one in the top that finished in the top 10 that wasn't in the playoffs. So
yeah, he whipped all the playoff drivers, and I think second through however many there are in the playoffs was the remainder of the guys behind him. But
yep, he was so excited about his win that he dislocated his shoulder celebrating afterwards.
That's pretty funny.
What the fuck?
Just that shot of him getting it popped back in by the team, and then him being excited that I got a shoulder again. Yeah. It was awesome.
Just from the highest of highs to instant excruciating pain.
And there will be no challenge to his championship status at Milwaukee because they're not coming back next year apparently. So one and done, which is a damn shame. That's a cool track. It just didn't really race all that well. And again, no one in Wisconsin showed up, or anyone for that matter.
Very empty.
Yeah. Looked like a test session.
I think IndyCar's there next weekend. So good luck, y'all.
Yeah, it's a damn shame. It is one of the oldest ovals in the U.S., so we like to see racing there, but just they have never been able to figure that place out for the past, at least 12, 15 years. Ever since kind of CART kind of fell apart, that definitely put a damper on things there, and they've just, between them and their battles with the fair board and all that, just never been able to put a good show together there, which sucks. that'll be a parking lot at some point. So.
But
that was Sunday.
Yep, that was Sunday.
And obviously there was F1, which nobody cares about. And did IndyCar run Sunday or no?
IndyCar did run.
They did.
Somebody won that. I don't know who.
Willpower won at Portland.
There you go.
It's their last road course race of the year.
Yeah. One of the last races of the year, period. I think Nashville's next, and that is all they wrote there. So.
Well, Milwaukee and then.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Nashville.
Yeah, see, I don't even remember. It's hard to remember it's there. So.
Just talked about it in 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's the Dayquil, folks. But
on to some racing that there was actually some fans in attendance for. Daytona had their second big NASCAR weekend of the year with Xfinity on Friday and Cup on Saturday. And what did we think? Definitely surprise winners in both races, I would say.
Yeah, I missed the Xfinity race on Saturday completely, so you guys are gonna have to fill me in on the finer points of that one.
Well, Austin Hill started off by wrecking, so that was good,
Perfect.
I guess, for those who don't like
Awesome.
him.
I'll drink to that.
Yep. Earnhardt triggered a big one on lap 1, and Austin Hill was caught up in it, so it's great.
Yep. Still driving more like a Jeffrey and less like a Dale, you know? That's too bad.
Yep. And then I think there's
what
another
else?
big one. Jeff Burton cost it, so.
Perfect. greatest hits.
Nepotism at its finest.
All my favorites.
Yeah. And then there was one more big one with 6 to go, also caused by Jeffrey, so.
Damn.
Start to finish. Great job, guys.
Well, how about that?
There's also another Reagan scheme in the Xfinity race.
Yeah, it was Brandon Jones, wasn't it?
No, it's Joe Graff.
Oh, even better. Yeah. The hits just keep on coming, folks. What a dog shit looking car that is.
Yeah.
And what a terrible movie that's going to be. I think I said it last week, unless they're going to talk about all the drug running and fucking Iran and Nicaragua and all that shit, then I don't want to watch a movie about Ronald Reagan.
No, with Born in the USA blasting.
Yeah,
the amount soundtrack.
Yeah, the amount of fucking times that song has been misused is just incredible to me. People just don't make it past the intro. That is a song about getting screwed over by the U.S. government, folks, and not in celebration of Ronald Reagan. But that is the legacy, so whatever.
Yeah.
Ugly ass car. They were selling hats with the Reagan logo on it, though. If you wanted
That's
to
true.
pick
Yeah,
one of those up.
One of our listeners sent us a picture from the merch hauler.
If you've ever wanted a combination Joe Graff Ronald Reagan hat, which I don't think a single person out there has ever wanted such a thing, I'm sure they're going to be available on the first container ship over to Africa. Those things are getting out of here.
Yeah, straight to the Joe Gibbs clearance rack.
Yeah. Oh, before we get any further, I do want to point this out. The Corey LaJoy koozie curse has been lifted. Our friend Truelove here forgot that Brien was going to bless the next customer with the Corey LaJoy koozie. And what did you do?
So excited to buy a Richard Petty shirt in like a youth large tiny size that would fit me that I forgot all about that stupid fucking koozie until like 5 minutes after I'd hit pay. And then it dawned on me, and I was so mad at myself. I was instantly pissed about my purchase.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's going to its rightful home. I'm happy to hear that.
The landfill in Gainesville, Georgia.
You make a specific dump trip just to do it. So.
Yep.
Yeah, Saturday night in Daytona, excuse me. God, I love a good Saturday night race.
Ryan Truex won that race.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. He was on DBC this week. He's a cool guy. He really is. I hope
I like
that.
Yeah.
Definitely such a weird story with Ryan because he runs so little. And he's kind of doing the Ryan Priest thing, I guess, where he just buys a few rides with a good team, and once in a while it pays off and keeps him in the conversation. So hopefully this continues to push him in that direction. It seems like he's a contender every single time he's out there. So
Yeah.
I don't think there's any openings for him, really, but I really hope that something happens for Ryan because
his brother's going to get him into something, I feel like. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, he'll have a lot of spare time next year to help his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, love a good Saturday night race, especially under the lights at Daytona. And that was a pretty good one, I thought.
It's very messy.
It was messy. Yeah. What'd you think,
You're
Brad?
talking about-
Oh, you
you're
didn't
talking
watch
about-
this, did you?
Yeah, Saturday. No, I.
Brian did not watch
no,
the
You did,
coverage.
Brian.
So I watched. Okay, I did watch part of it. So here's the thing, and
Time-lapse.
a handful of the watch more than that. A handful of the listeners will know about this show, but it seems like every year for the Saturday night race, there's also a daytime this pretty popular daytime wrestling show here in Cleveland, and at least the past few years, I have gotten way too drunk at this show and just end up missing the whole entire race. But this year, I had to walk a dog, and I also wanted to watch the race, so I made sure I paced myself, and I got home in time for the race, and I did watch up to stage 2, because I remember the last thing I did was I took Chase out of my lineup in fantasy because because of that wreck he was in, but that was it. That was then I woke up at 2 a.m. and realized what had happened yet again. But again, I also wake up at 4:30 in the morning to go to the flea market. So Saturdays are very long days for me, and even without the day drinking, it would have been tough to make it through the whole race. But I did see most of it, and then I did not spoil anything for myself. Basically, woke up and then immediately just watched the last 20 laps of the race and saw all that chaos. So I didn't get the shocking win spoiled for me, so that was a very much a shock to see.
Yeah, you kind of went silent in all of the chats that we're a part of, so I had a feeling that maybe a nap was involved, or maybe you were still
Yep,
guzzling Old English in a parking lot somewhere.
That's what I figured. You just stayed in that.
Well,
parking lot full of-
so I will say the show, it's at this venue called No Class. Used to be Now That's Class in Cleveland. It's a punk bar, and they sell Mad Dog 2020 there. And I am, as a 40-year-old man, I have not touched that stuff in years, and I didn't do that at all. But they did have a Mad Dog drinking contest where I watched a guy down an entire bottle in about 45 seconds.
Hell yeah.
And I feel bad for
R.I.P.
him. Yeah, I don't know what happened to him afterwards.
Diabetes
so.
is what happened. That is
memorial service this weekend.
He was a big guy though, so I'm assuming he handled it fairly well compared to another kid that I saw who I think by the time the show started he was already on his second bottle, and I don't think he made it through the whole show. So
it's easy to chug, I'll say that, but
is it? I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
it's just candy.
Oh, okay. This is coming from somebody that sips on 99 bananas, so I guess I can't say much.
I do. And I love Johnny Bootlegger for all my North Carolina listeners out there. What's up, Johnny Bootlegger? Grape, sip, slurping the perp. That's what we do. But that's what I do anyway. But yeah, I thought it was a good race. I guess we'll just go through it here. First stage is really, really short, which was nice.
Well, before that, there was that nice invocation that Rob loved.
Oh my God. I was sitting on my couch when this guy went up there, and he dropped a shake and bake, and I was like, oh, that's terrible. We can't take anything fucking seriously anymore. And then he just continued the whole prayer was based around shaking and baking for the Lord and your friends and whatever the fuck else, and just, yeah. Oh.
Sorry. Whoops.
How about that? Yeah.
I thought Brian was going to start rapping the shake and bake invocation for us.
I mean, that was pretty much it, folks. But you heard it here. But yeah, what a weird prayer. Church is fucking different than it was when I was going, that's for sure. And I'm all set on that, but yeah, pretty nice short first stage. I really enjoyed that. No room for any sort of fuel strategy or anything, so everyone's kind of raced. There wasn't any of this like half throttle bullshit we've seen.
Yeah, that was nice.
Who won that first stage? I can't even remember anymore.
Josh Berry.
Josh Berry, that's right, who was driving like there were no other stages. I, in fact, commented to you, Truelove, I was like, does he know?
Very concerned.
Yeah, he was driving like a motherfucker out there. But they managed to keep it together. He got the stage win. Good for him. And then stage 2, this is, I guess Brien did see all this. Stage 2 is when Brien slipped off into the ether. And
that's when Suarez caught on fire in the pits.
That was fucking crazy. I had some friend of the program, Kyle Armstrong, was there. My buddy Frank Bolter was there. Ken Bob. A whole bunch of people were sitting pretty close to each other, and they had a front row seat for that, and that was a really, really intense fire. I don't even know if the television broadcast did that as much justice as it deserved, because that car was completely engulfed, and I'm still not 100% sure how that went down.
Well, did you see the camera angle of Hamlin starting it?
Yeah, I did see that, and did it just like stay on fire the entire time?
Yeah, that thing got real crispy.
I got up to, I missed the fire when it initially happened. I went up to go, ironically, pull an ice cold Coca-Cola out of the fridge. It seemed like a nice little treat for me.
Nice timing.
And I popped it open. When I came back, Daniel Suarez's little Coke can was on fire.
So this was your fault.
Yeah, and then shortly after that, the first big wreck of the night happened, which it was a big one. Corey LaJoie taking the blame for that, though, and this is going to be a surprise probably to you guys, I don't know if you can 100% blame that all on him, but he definitely was but we will. So, again, friend of the program, Kyle Armstrong, was present there. In fact, as that happened, he texted me, and he was like, holy shit, I can't believe Chastain is dragging his brake and brake checking everybody like he is. Did you see that shit? And
I didn't see that.
I didn't notice it as much. It wasn't that evident on the broadcast, but I feel like he was stacking the center lane up pretty hard, and then also LaJoie got a shot from Larson from behind, which I think initiated the first contact, but the second one on the back bumper of Noah Gragson was all Corey LaJoie, and he wiped out about 78 cars.
Yeah, 18 cars involved in that, and 4 of them were knocked out of the race. So,
yeah.
Great job, bud.
I mean, again, I'm going to chalk that up to plate racing. You know, I think that was just a confluence of a bunch of random shit, and I don't think people would be as upset if he hadn't developed a little bit of a reputation recently.
Something every single race.
I think it's time they just take him out of that car and put somebody else in it for the rest of the season, because it ain't going to get any better.
I mean, we did get to see our favorite graphic from Spire, of course, where we get to see where Carson Hocevar and the now jobless Zane Smith got to finish, which was, I think it was like, 11th and 13th or something like that. And then Corey was all the way back in the truck race as far as his finishing position was. Yeah. That wasn't even the craziest thing he did of the entire night, and I don't think this even made the broadcast. He almost Kevin LePage the entire field. For those of you listening who don't know what that was, of course, Kevin LePage famously tried to blend up in front of the pack at Talladega a few years back and, again, wrecked like 48 cars. Corey almost did that. And I don't know what the fuck he was doing. He was several laps down and just, like, riding that line trying to blend and just, almost killed some people. But I would say that is 100% on him. That is not plate racing. That is just
Corey LaJoie thing.
Corey LaJoie doing what he does. But
there was a great tweet where the Eric Estep guy tweeted, "Man, don't tell me the number 7 caused that." Then Hamlin, since he's watching from his motorhome now, thanks to Corey, responded, 7 caused it.
Instant confirmation.
Yeah, it's great.
And then again, who won stage 2? I do not remember.
Logano.
That's right. Yeah.
Right after SVG blew up. Huge vape cloud.
Oh yeah, he was definitely blowing the cotton candy all over the place. Yeah, that was a weird situation. I almost thought there was debris on the racetrack.
Yeah.
Because Truex had a tire go down, someone else had an issue, and then SVG
Jones
blew up at the same time. It was Eric Jones, that's right, yeah. All 3 of them having big issues almost simultaneously on the racetrack, which to me would indicate that there's something out there that caused all these things, like a piece of debris, or again, I know Kyle said that he stuck a Zen up in the wall when he was doing the little track walk. I thought maybe that popped loose and went through someone's radiator or something, but no, it was just a really random occurrence, and yeah, nobody's fault, I guess. But yeah, congratulations to Joey Logano getting the stage win. Yeah. Ugh. But yeah, Ford just looking really fast in general, and that's pretty much what we saw at the end of the race. Stage 3, of course, another giant wreck. Cleaned out more people. I don't even remember how that one fucking went down, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I couldn't really, point a finger at anyone
Just
specifically.
Classic Cup.
That one. But when it first, started, I was like, oh, McDowell's going into the catch fence. But luckily, he didn't.
Yeah. Well, we did get some cars airborne as well. There was one accident where not Josh Berry, there was the one before that. Somebody got sideways and almost flipped, but didn't to win.
John Hunter?
It was John Hunter Nemechek. And then Steve Letarte spent a good 25 minutes describing how that little rail they put on the back of the car actually kept them from flipping over, and good job on NASCAR, blah blah blah. And literally 30 seconds later, Josh Berry gets on his lid and just goes head on into the fence.
Yeah, that looked very nasty watching it live. I was like, oh, this is not good.
Yeah, it was.
But he said it was not that bad. He's like, it wasn't as bad as you guys would have thought. So
yeah, his interview, he was very jolly in it. I was like, oh, okay, he's fine.
Yeah, he got the sillies knocked into him, I guess. But yeah, that's ugly to go just head first into the wall when you can't stop. Your brakes don't work when you're on your roof, so. Little technical knowledge right there. Who needs Steve Letarte when you got me? When the car is skidding on its roof, the brakes or steering wheel actually don't work at all. So, yeah, glad to see him climb out of that. And again, I will say this, kudos to Daytona for taking that grass out, because that could have been a lot uglier if it was there. So the Ryan Preece Memorial parking lot that they put in back there. But then that brings us, of course, to the finish, which Kyle Busch was up front. I think everyone kind of thought he was going to be able to get that to happen. He lined up, he was first, right?
Mm-hmm. Him and little Harry B.
And then Harrison Burton on the outside. And this is a really funny discussion. Parker Retzlaff, driving for Beard Motorsports in the 62. Not technically, he is a partner of RCR. Beard is a direct partner of theirs. And in a plate race, you are absolutely supposed to help out the big RCR cars. And instead of
Pop specials.
Yes, the Pop specials, the special bears. He, instead of choosing Kyle Busch on the bottom, he went up top and decided to push Harrison Burton, to which the spotter said, do not push the 21 to the win, and that's exactly what he did. So,
Yep.
which, good for him. I mean, might be the only chance he ever has in a cup car to taste the front and have a shot at a win. And I think he thought maybe he had a shot, and he almost pulled it off, but just kind of stalled out and was unable to get back to Harrison Burton or anybody. That top lane kind of stalled, and it was just down to Kyle and Harrison at the end. And then Lee Diffie, of course, giving instantly one of the greatest calls in the history of the sport, at least in the modern era. Jeff, your little boy has done it.
Yeah.
And everyone cried. Yeah.
Yep.
So Harrison Burton's going to the playoffs.
Well, I mean, I've been highly invested in this because I want Bubba to make it, but at the end of that race, like the entire top 10, except for like Seabell, were people who haven't won. So I was like, okay, well,
Yeah.
somebody's going to win that hasn't. So I'd rather it be the Wood brothers than Pop. So
Yeah, and kudos to Kyle Busch. He even said in an interview after the race that he could have wrecked him. That was the only way he was going to be able to beat that run from Harrison Burton, and he chose not to because that's not how he likes to race. He's like, I could have, but that's not what I did, and here we are. So shout out to Kyle.
That.
Yeah,
very veteran move on his part.
come a very long way from just sending Ron Hornaday into space back in 2011. I very much appreciate that. But yeah, 100th win for the Wood brothers. That's huge
Finally.
shit. And again, like anytime the Wood brothers get to go to victory lane, I think the world rejoices. On DBC, Harrison Burton was a guest, and he was talking about how he was insulated from some of the hatred I think he was expecting to get, just by virtue of the playoff situation being what it is. Which I think that's a fair criticism, but it's not necessarily of Harrison. He won that race fair and square. So
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone loves to see the Wood brothers win, and it was definitely cool to see Harrison. As soon as he gets out of the car, what did he say? It was like, I got fired from this ride. Also, shout out to NBC for letting Jeff Burton just mute his mic and show emotion privately. They did show a video of him trying to throw his shoulder out. He almost fucking knocked Lee Diffie out, which was pretty cool. But yeah,
Harrison becomes the first driver to win in Cup who was born after 2000. So
wow,
old.
crazy. But yeah, I really enjoyed that race. Again, like I have, my feelings about plate racing have not been hidden on this show. I'm not the biggest fan, but they are always entertaining. And I think a lot of my criticism comes from what the championship system is and less of what the racing actually is. You know, you can call it racing. You know, it's definitely like kind of random and all that, but I didn't mind that being the sort of hornet in the car, if you will, before the playoffs happened. And now that, you know, Harrison Burton's in there, and he was literally in last place of all the...
He's still in last place.
He's still in last
regular
place.
points.
Yeah. In regular points. That just shows you how bad it is.
Yeah.
I think he's down, like, what, 300 points on the cutoff guys or something like that, which is ridiculous, but...
Yeah, after Austin and Harrison these last few weeks, I really don't understand why we got rid of that 30th place requirement.
Should be higher than that, honestly.
Yeah,
For fuck's sake.
I'd be okay
At
with
least
top 25.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good plate race and definitely a feel-good ending, and I think everyone liked to see that. And again, shout out to Lee Diffie. I know there's a lot of people complaining that there's not an American in the booth, even though he is a fucking American citizen. Has been for 15 years. He's also not a Brit. He's from fucking Australia. So...
Get your accent
Yeah,
straight,
yeah,
people.
if you're gonna be xenophobic against other white people, then I would suggest at least understanding what the difference between the accents. But yeah, there's really none better at calling a race than Lee Diffie. I said this last week. You know, IndyCar is really losing an asset by having him come to NASCAR, and NASCAR is really gaining something special by having Lee Diffie in there. And I thought that throughout the entire race, he did a fucking excellent job. And I also thought that, again, that call was absolutely perfect. Everything about it. And I think that this is I think we said this when NBC took over. You actually felt like you were watching a sporting event. That feeling returned tenfold on Saturday night. You really, really felt like you were watching one of the classics with Mike Joy or Ken Squire up in the booth or something like that.
Yeah.
It was fucking awesome. I look
One
forward to
word
more of
that-
this.
Yeah, the one word I kept thinking the whole race was just professional, because with a lot of announcers, after they've been there for a while, they kind of develop certain bias towards and against drivers, even though they don't intend to, or they don't maybe realize that they have certain inflections. But with Lee, there was zero bias, which was also refreshing. So
I don't think you have to worry about him doing that either going forward. He's always been a pretty measured voice in the IndyCar booth and in Supercross, and yeah, he studies, he knows what he's talking about, and he's able to speak on it really quickly. And also shout out to everybody else in the booth too, Jeff Burton and Steve Letarte in particular, really laying out some great analysis. That's a solid fucking booth. I think we all agree the only thing that sucks is that we're not going to get to hear Lee and Dale in the booth together, because I think that would be like the dream team combo. But you know, it can never be too good, right? So.
Can't have too many far out accents in one booth to try to decipher.
We already got Jeff Burton up there, so. But we did get to see the Kim Cam come back, which I know I don't think anyone thought that was ever going to happen again. Yeah, that was pretty good. I enjoyed the shit out of it, and I guess on to Darlington.
Yep.
Where I don't know who's in fucking 29th in points. Zane Smith's gonna get the win, folks.
He might.
He just might.
I heard today that since Nashville, he has only finished out of the top 20 twice, which is impressive for the second and last place in points.
Yeah, apparently not enough to keep his ride, which I guess we'll get to in a few minutes here.
Yeah.
But Brian, any thoughts on this before we move out of Daytona here?
Nah, I mean, you guys covered it. I don't really have anything else to say about it. It was fine.
Yeah, I will say that the NBC did keep their promise of having no full screen commercials during green flag action, which I don't know. They managed to make that window pretty small on the screen.
I feel like they definitely overused their side-by-side commercial powers.
Oh, they used the shit out of it. But I guess if we're gonna do it this way, I'll take that over going to commercial. And they still almost missed the wreck, I believe, didn't they?
Which one?
The Corey LaJoy one.
Oh yeah.
But,
I don't know. I can't remember.
oh well. Yeah, on to Darlington. That's going to be good. And Harrison Burton now has a shot at the 20. Well, he doesn't, but in theory, on paper, he has a shot at the 2024 Cup.
Brett Griffin was willing to bet $20,000 with some dickhead on Twitter that Harrison was not going to finish dead last in the playoffs. So whoever wants to take that bet, go for it.
Yep. Jump on that one.
I mean, this means that all 4 of the Penske-related cars are in the playoffs now. So
That's true. I forgot about Cindric.
yeah, Cindric,
Squeaking in there.
who also had a pretty nice comeback. He got shot off into the grass at some point.
Yeah, I feel like him and Larson got into it multiple times.
I don't really know what happened there. They didn't really show a good replay.
Yeah, there wasn't a good angle of that.
I don't think. I mean, Larson really sucks at plate racing, but I don't think that he would be dumb enough to just door slam somebody off into the grass like that. You can see them when they're right next to you, so I don't really. I heard he got a bad push from Gilliland. Exactly, in the brightest fucking car in the entire field. So, just the fact that there's not a helicopter shot of it or they didn't show it anyway, was interesting. But whatever, he worked his way back and whatever. Yeah, he'll finish right ahead of Harrison in the playoffs. So
Yeah.
Rob, I see a note here that you want to bitch again about people standing up on restarts.
yes.
Time for Boomer Rob's rant.
Have I talked about this on the show already?
Not
Yes,
the
you
show,
have.
just in group chat, I think.
So, was it last week, the week before? I don't know. I was kind of venting to you guys about how much I fucking hate it when people stand up for starts and restarts. Like, it's just sit the fuck down. Like, it's a stupid tradition. I don't even know where the fuck it came from. Like, it's not like you see more by standing up. And, you know...
Well, you do if someone's standing up in front of you.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's if we all just sit the fuck down, we'll be able to actually see what's going on. And it's not like anything super exciting is going to happen. And I'm fine with standing up at the end of the race when it gets exciting, I guess. But I don't know. It's just stupid. But the reason why I bring it up this time, again, a friend of the program, Kyle Armstrong, was present. He was there on the property. And he sent me a text that backed my ass up. And let me just pull that up real quick. And I'll read it to you because he summed it up in a way that...
Just two boomers booming at each other.
Two boomers booming, yep. And we're gonna... Here we go. Everyone thinks... This is from Kyle at 8:33 p.m. He says, everyone thinks they gotta stand up and holler on these restarts like they've never been nowhere before. Unreal.
I mean, I don't know, man.
I agree. Sit down.
This is literally, this has been happening as long as I've been going to races.
I know. I doesn't mean it's not stupid. But
I don't know.
I mean, I definitely am very guilty of it.
yeah.
So,
But
Well, you only do it because everybody else is. Like, what the fuck? I don't
you
know.
have
Like,
to be able to see over the people in
Yeah.
front of you.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, where did it come from? Why are we doing it? But anyway, I know there's some newer fans listening to the show. I don't mean to ruin your good time, your enthusiasm, whatever. It is part of the deal, and I'm going to have to live with it. But just my advice, please, from someone who's been going to these for a long time, sit down after the first lap. Give them
Yeah,
one,
I mean,
wave your little hat around, it's all good, and then sit the fuck down and get back to your seat that you paid for.
Yeah.
So,
Unless it's like the end of the race and like your guys up there battling, like I for sure will stand up at the end of a race if it's like very exciting or if like the restart is super exciting. But you know, once they get stretched out or whatever, I try to be very mindful of the people behind me too, especially. So
exactly. Yeah, have some spatial and situational awareness, please. That's all I ask. But
yeah, I definitely feel like here lately I've been noticing people standing on the restart for way too long. Like,
yeah, we can change as a society, folks. We can do it together. Anyway, that's my boom. Well, probably one of my boomer rants for the day.
well,
I'm sure there's
now,
more.
from a boomer rant to all the litigious news of the week. First off, as expected, Austin Dillon lost his second appeal on his Richmond incident, which good. I mean, just wasting everybody's time and money trying to fight that. Nobody was gonna give you your win back, bud. Like, it just wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah, like we wouldn't have lunch with the guy from Langley at like Applebee's or some shit like that. And that was the final appeal.
Is that guy always the final appeal, or does it switch every time? Is there a different final boss every time? Or
I think it does switch, but it just happened to be, and I'm forgetting his name right now, but he's the
I can't remember
the guy who runs Langley Speedway in Virginia. Long-time guy, but yeah, he didn't seem to care. So Austin Dillon will remain ahead of Harrison Burton in the points, but not be going to the playoffs.
Next up, Denny Hamlin took a huge points hit. His season's just starting to crumble the last few weeks.
Tattled on themselves. Well, Toyota did anyway.
Yeah, it was a major fuck up from two different people. It seems like they sent. We won't get too deep into it, but basically, if you win a race, you have to send that motor to NASCAR at some point before it goes to the manufacturer to get rebuilt.
Yeah.
Somehow that engine from his Bristol win, that's the race, it got somehow sent to Toyota, and then Toyota opened the motor up and then realized that they shouldn't have. So poor Denny lost a ton of points for something he had no part of. So even if you don't like Denny, I feel like you got to have a little bit of sympathy for him, because that just sucks, Like, it's one thing.
It dropped him down to 6th in the playoff standings, which is that's a lot.
He can no longer win the regular season either.
That's over.
Out of that. So.
Yep. And then from there, this might be my most annoying piece of news on the whole show.
Let's you handle this one.
So Hendrick Motorsports is now suing Hooters for $1.7 million for lack of payment on their sponsorship deal, which really, again, makes it, to me, it almost negates the Hooters curse being broken, because they didn't pay for that spot on the car. So it's like they weren't even there in my eyes. Just frustrating.
Yeah, apparently they'd only paid $45,000 of their 2024 fees.
That's not enough.
3 primary races. Full season.
That's a tire bill maybe for a race. That's about it. So
So I feel like the price of wings are going to be going up at Hooters to try to.
Yeah, it probably won't be too many of them left at this point. So
you should probably get some half off Chase Elliott merch though.
Be sure to tip your girls, because they're all volunteers now after this. So.
And now on to the driver news. As mentioned, Zane Smith losing his ride at Trackhouse because SVG is going to be full-time next year in the 88 car, which a lot of people were a little surprised to hear.
I don't get it.
So I guess Trackhouse has some history with 88. It's their MotoGP number. SVG apparently, I guess he used to run the 888 at some point.
He won Bathurst with it, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess there is a little bit of lineage, and I think, like, somebody else mentioned that, like, 97 is his number, but he's not going to be in that car forever, and I don't know, it is what it is. But
the 97 is the Van Gisbergen family number. Like, he's ran that in supercars, he ran it on sprint cars in Australia. Just almost everything he's done, he's had that number. So I was a little surprised to see them bring the 88 in. But then again, there is now a partnership between Connor Zilic, Trackhouse, and Dale Jr. to run Connor in the 88, so that kind of makes sense why they chose that number.
Yeah.
Does this mean there's more partnership coming between Dale Jr. and Trackhouse in the future? I don't know. But the number's back. Again, I still don't 100% get it, but it'll be cool to see that.
Yeah, hopefully there's some good merch somewhere down the line. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, it sucks for Zane Smith, but I don't know. If I had to choose between the two of them, I would also pick Shane Van Gisbergen. So.
Well, yeah,
I think it was.
Oh, go ahead.
I think it was Hamlin today I was listening to said that, like, if you're going to choose between SVG and Zane, SVG is a guaranteed playoff spot because he will win a road course race at some point. So.
Yeah. No questions.
Yeah, poor Zane. I guess he turned down a bunch of other opportunities for Trackhouse, and now those are gone. And I guess Ford is still mad at him over the front row deal. So Good luck.
Whoops. Maybe Corey LaJoy can give him some letter writing advice.
There you go.
You know.
So, Ashley, this is again your little news
Is
bit.
it?
Yeah, speaking of
I'm pretty
Australia.
sure
Yeah.
Rob had this.
Both of you two. You're the Jersey Shore fans, so one of you two take it.
Well, just a little update from last week's Scotty Mac getting really into the Jersey Shore. He got followed on social media by the one and only Pauly D. So
DJ Pauly D.
he's big time now.
Yeah, that is definitely in the Hall of Fame of Jersey Shore fandom moments right there. Deciding you're going to watch a show, becoming invested, and then now the cast follows you on the internet.
Yep. Straight to the top.
I can't imagine how excited he is right now. So good for
Well, yeah,
Scotty Mac.
life-altering.
Yeah, in a career full of great moments, this is certainly up there with some of the cool shit he's done in a race car. Absolutely. So.
One other note I had unrelated to anything. NASCAR signed a new official NASCAR meat treat.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I did see
Jack
that,
Links.
yeah.
Links.
Hell yeah.
They're big time now.
That's good news. Yeah, for all you meat treat fans out there, you can enjoy beef jerky for the same fucking price you would have anyway. So hopefully there's some activation. You can get yourself like a quarter-sized bag of pepper jerky or something like that.
2 bites.
Just keep you dehydrated at the race.
Yeah, just make you feel worse.
Yeah. Next up, so there isn't really a whole lot of detail for this story yet, but it looks like NASCAR is going to be launching their own 24/7 network. I don't know where this would be on. Probably an app, I'm assuming.
I imagine it'll be on Pluto or something. All those like our video of the week, like Pluto TV or something like that. Racing America does have one of these apps. The NHRA has one as well, where they play classic races and all that sort of shit and have their own programming. So I imagine this is going to be pretty similar to that.
Yeah.
But definitely cool to have a bunch of streaming content, and all the short track racing streaming services, Dirt Vision, Flow, whoever, they have their own 24-hour programming where they show old races and segments and movies they've done. So this seems like a home for that. Very curious to see what NASCAR does. And, of course, they're starting their own broadcast team to run the CW's broadcast of the Xfinity Series. So I'm sure there'll be some tie-in there as well. But this is cool. More NASCAR content is better.
Yeah.
And hopefully this could be a home for the return of some sort of daily show like they don't have anymore. Though I guess NASCAR America does exist, right? Is that still on NBC?
I don't know.
Well, that tells you something. But race day's gone, so hopefully they're able to find a home in this network that they're carving out for some sort of daily program, because I think they're in desperate need of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going from speed to, I guess this one's going to be called fast.
Fast.
So we're running out of synonyms here.
Yeah, single syllable. So watch out for fast. They're also hiring if you guys want to work for them. So yeah, update your Indeed profiles.
I will pass on that one. So there's actually I'm gonna.
Yep.
Did he quit?
I think Brien quit.
So much for that new fancy cable.
You got a new cable. It was going so well, and then now here we
He
are.
rolled around on his bed
Yeah.
and unplugged it.
But he'll come back in a second. Next up on
I'm
our...
not on my bed. Thank you very much. I'm in the living room. So the two notes. One thing we forgot to mention last week. Mark Martin, we all know he's a huge fan of rap and especially Gucci Mane. Mark Martin is on the new Gucci Mane track. He's not rapping, thankfully, but they used a
thank
sample.
God.
Should be.
Yeah, they used a sample from his Dirty Mo interview a couple years ago where he talks about where that all started. So, I'm not a huge Gucci Mane fan, but just that whole interaction they've had the last decade or so, it's just such a cool thing to see. I'm sure that was very special for Mark. And for any of us, if something like that were to happen, it's pretty cool to be
Career
immortalized
highlight
on a
for
song
him.
like that. But then I guess a career highlight for Todd Gilliland, somebody got his signature tattooed on their calf, which I think signature tattoos are probably one of the stupidest ideas you could have personally. But someone did it, and they're going to have that forever.
Right under Denny Hamlin's signature tattoo on that same leg.
Yep.
So,
He
quite
wore
the
his
collection.
jeans out to Daytona, which is a choice.
Yeah, that whole guy, everything about this guy is suspect. I'm just looking at, he looks like a normal race fan, but yeah, he looks at jeans at fucking
Yeah.
Daytona in August.
Yeah.
Like, what are you thinking?
I can't say anything.
No, you can't.
No. But there's no way that Sharpie signature is surviving sweating in those jeans at Daytona all day. It's not making it to the tattoo shop.
It's going to be a birthmark.
Yeah.
I forget who said this, but like, I don't know if it was Denny or somebody else talked about people who do this, and he always thinks it's a bad idea, not just for the concept of getting someone's signature tattooed on you, but the fact that like you actually sign the autograph on a person. Usually it's not as good as your normal autograph. He always suggests like, just let me sign a piece of paper, like a blank piece of paper, and then bring it to your tattoo artist and let them do their thing with it, which I think is a
instead of throwing your
plan.
stanky leg up on a tattoo table in front of someone.
Gross.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Febreze it first, folks.
Yeah, seriously.
And then finally, what's this note about Watkins Glen's sunburn guy? I don't know much about this guy.
You didn't get that link?
I mean, I saw but I mean, I don't know anything about his deal.
Oh, you haven't seen this guy before?
I'm sure I have, but I mean,
He's been doing this for 24 years,
Yes.
but he's retiring. Watkins Glen will be one last burn, as he calls it. But
He burns like car numbers and shit into his body.
he's a big Chase Elliott and Dale Jr. fan, so.
Yeah.
he's not as leathery as you would think for someone who's done this for 24 years.
Well,
No, he comes out of the basement once a year, like Poxitani Phil.
yeah, he's got to get real pale in the off season so that burn really
Pops.
sears in there.
And unlike his sunburn artwork, his very cool tribal barbed wire tattoo is not going anywhere. So at least he's got that to hold on to.
But yeah,
There
thanks
forever.
for your 24 years of service. His name is Kenny, so Kenny Hunt.
Yeah. I love a good track lizard like that. Not a pit lizard by any means, but just one of the people you see kind of wandering around. You're like, holy fuck, look at that guy. Every track has one or several.
Sure.
And it's one of the, even if you don't give a fuck about racing, it's one of the reasons you can go to a NASCAR race and have a good time. Because you're going to see some people that you would never imagine actually exist in the real world. And this guy's certainly one of them. So thank you for your service, sir. And I hope you, I'm glad you're changing your mind about doing this.
I hope you're not. I hope you don't have skin cancer. I hope that's why you're not doing this anymore.
Yeah,
so.
seriously, that would be.
Lotion up, y'all.
Yeah, that'd be very sad, but also the fruit of his labor. So Godspeed, sir.
Yeah, I did have the privilege of seeing him in person at Bristol last year. So.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, other good examples of this guy. I would say that the guy who always shows up at Richmond dressed like Dale Earnhardt.
Mm-hmm.
You get a
That
photo.
guy's at every
Martinsville,
fucking
too.
race.
Yeah.
He is at every race.
He gets around.
Yeah.
He does.
That has to be his thing now. He has to have monetized it some way because you don't get to every race like that, like he does.
Yeah.
Without. And now on to more stupid people in the racing world.
Our dork of the week, folks.
So this is the second week in a row that people just cannot fully grasp what they see in front of them and can't accept what happens at the end of the race. Like we saw this quite a bit with Austin Dillon fans denying that Austin wrecked anybody on purpose. Yep. And this week we have Rowdy Bob from Twitter who just replied many times to the news that Harrison Burton won with, nope, Kyle Busch won, and he didn't win. Congrats on the win, Kyle Busch. What race were you watching, bud? Like, nothing.
Yeah. Didn't win. Nope, didn't win the 400-mile race. Congrats on the win, Kyle Busch. Fake, didn't win. So.
I mean, I don't know how old this person is or anything, but I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of weird NASCAR fans like this that just, are completely lose any objectivity when it comes to the race results. And I don't know how. I mean, people do it in all sorts of sports. Like, I don't understand reacting this way to any sporting event. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, shit happens, you move on to the next week. Like, your guy didn't win. Sorry, pal.
And even if he had a legitimate point to make about how Kyle Busch should have won, he didn't make it. So not even an attempt. So this is our dart for the week. His sentence is to stencil the number 8 on his body and go work out in a fucking parking lot somewhere with his shirt off. The scarlet letter, if you will, but we're in reverse.
To see, his name is Rowdy Bob, but his username is Rowdy Rob 84. So Rob, is this you?
Does that mean he's my fucking age?
That was my first thought. I was like, wait, wasn't Rob born in 84?
Well, I just spent 10 minutes yelling about people standing up at races, so I guess I'm also... I will be tweeting unhinged shit at some point in my life, I'm sure, as my brain continues to fade into jello or mush or whatever's happening up there. But yeah, Rowdy Bob, just breathe some fucking air, please, and don't watch Ultimate 23 Dragons YouTube channel.
Or do. Maybe y'all could.
Maybe you'll learn something.
Maybe you'll hit it off.
Ooh, a little matchmaking. How about that?
Love connection.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Sounds gross.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to have a drink over that one. But
okay, next.
So I didn't see.
Into the septic tank.
Yeah, we're already in it, folks.
I did not see a second of any short track racing this weekend. So as always, Rob, this is all you.
There was a lot to watch, that's for sure. I had 2 televisions going upstairs. My wife was out of town on Saturday night, so instead of sweating my ass off down in Scooters, my little dive bar I brought the TV upstairs and set up a little Scooters lounge,
north,
if you will.
North.
Exactly. The skybox, if you will. And had all sorts of shit going on. A lot of good racing this weekend. Before we get into that, sadly another death to announce. Dink Widenhouse passed away. Of course, he's a legendary modified guy, and also a Grand National driver too. Sort of a journeyman way back in the day, in the '60s and all that. But he was deeply connected with the sort of Mid-Atlantic, Virginia, Carolina modified world, and I know a lot of people are upset about that. He was in his 90s, and he's definitely lived a life and a half. There's no question about that. Still showing up to all the smart events and all that, and just being a cool guy. So it sucks that I have Dink around anymore, and it sucks to see all the legends slide on to the other side. So I'm gonna raise my glass to Dink before we pop into all the sprint car news here. Oh, I'm still working on that.
Crown again?
Still working on it. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Sounds like it.
Oh, give me a second here. Fuck me. There we go. All right.
Okay.
Anyway, the short track septic tank, folks. High Limit was out at Silver Dollar Speedway, which is, of course, owned by Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson, also the owners of the High Limit Series for the Gold Cup. The Gold Cup is the equivalent of the Knoxville Nationals for West Coast sprint car drivers. Huge event. It looms large in all of those guys' careers and histories, etc. And it's definitely kind of taken on its weight and importance again now that Kyle and Brad are owning the track and sort of bringing it back to prominence. No one had anything for fucking Corey Day. That kid is insane. He's such a good fucking sprint car driver. He won his the first prelim night and the big Gold Cup feature, and he's much richer as a result. Shout out to, who was it?
Is
Tanner
he a
Dorson.
youngin'?
He's very young. And of course, he's in the Hendrick pipeline. Jeff Gordon and Kyle Larson. We were talking about, everyone talking about Kyle Larson so much as being as good as he is and racing all these short track races and being the best in the world or whatever. And Truelove, you made a point that, we don't get to hear about a lot of these young kids necessarily who are coming up as a result of this. Well, I can tell you Corey Day is one of them. There's no question about that. Of course, he's already run a couple of ARCA races with that HendrickCars.com scheme, and he's done okay. But just a baby when it comes to pavement, but an absolute dick stomper when it comes to sprint cars. Shout out to Tanner Thorson. He got a win on Friday night. In his prelim night, his first year in a 410 has been hit or miss, but this was definitely what you usually see out of Tanner Thorson in any other sprint car. He's supremely talented as well. Also, some rough news coming out of California this weekend. Chase Johnson had a really, really nasty wreck on Saturday night. He's currently in the ICU. He's got a breathing tube in. He's got some broken vertebrae and a broken neck and all sorts of things. He's expected to pull through this. What that's going to look like, we have no idea. But, of course, thoughts and prayers up for Chase Johnson right now. Nobody wants to see that. That was a pretty nasty wreck. I didn't expect it to be...
What kind of car was it in?
It was a 410 sprint car.
Oh, okay.
And, just real ugly shit. Again, I don't think anyone realized how bad it was until they released the injury report and his status update. And yeah, this is second pretty rough one in about 3 weeks. Of course, McKenna Hassey had a punctured lung at Knoxville, and she's doing better. But hopefully Chase will pull through this and be back in a car at some point. But again, we just don't know yet. So I'm sure there'll be some sort of crowdfund thing going on here. And of course, we'll mention it on the show once that does pop up on the internet, and you guys will know about it. But we're thinking about Chase. On Sunday night, at High Limit, J-Mac won at Douglas County. That was Monday night, excuse me. Douglas County, a cool little racetrack. It sounds like Zeb Wise might lose his ride over flipping the sprint car like 15 times that night. Also, James McFadden's kid got the shit scared out of him by a guy in a costume in Victory Lane. He had to pull the head off and show him that it was actually a person. That did not help. So
I missed that. What was the costume?
It was like a tree thing. I don't know. It was
a tree.
But as a child who also hated big costumes, fuck
Still
that shit. Get that the fuck out of here. Yeah.
Don't trust him.
But I love James McFadden. Sadly, we're not going to see a lot of him in the coming years. I guess his work visa here in the U.S. will be expiring, and he wants to spend more time with his family. So seeing J-Mac on a weekly basis is not going to be something we have in 2025, which is a damn shame because he's an absolute shoe, and he's a cool guy too. So... speaking to J-Mac, I recommend watching the Flow segment where him and Matthew Dillner went to the Testicle Festival in, I think it was Iowa, and they ate a bunch of fried testicles and talked shit.
It was in Iowa.
Yeah, it was good. Anyway, up north here, we had the biggest pavement race in New England, that's for sure, and definitely the biggest pavement race of the weekend in the Oxford 250 over on Racing America. Jeff Taylor finally got a win. He's been about as good as you can get at Oxford Plains for as long as anyone can remember, but he's never won the big show, the 250. Finally got it done. Definitely shades of Dale Earnhardt finally winning the Daytona 500. This is big shit. Everyone loved to see that. Of course, Bubba Pollard came up. He finished second. He doesn't get to race up here very often because Maine it's really far from me. So I can't imagine what it's like coming from Georgia to try and hit these races, but he came up here and put on a good show. DJ Shaw, Silas Ripley, and Austin Terrace rounding out the top five. Over in the dirt late model world, Jonathan Davenport picked up $50,000 at Port Royal. Garrett Alberson finally got a win on a prelim night too. That championship chase is drawing to a close here, and that's a good battle as always. But again, I always like seeing Jonathan Davenport win. He's a good guy. Over in the World of Outlaws side, Ryan Gustin won the Fireball 50 at Atomic. Bobby Pierce won his prelim night, and he's up to second in the Outlaw points right behind Brandon Shepard. There's only 8 races left in the season, which is fucking nuts to me that we're already here. But I guess, we have 1 race left in the NASCAR or the NASCAR regular season that is leading into the playoffs. So it's going to be over before you know it, man. It fucking sneaks up on you.
There's only like 6 or 7 more truck races.
It's crazy.
Which is fine with me, but...
Yeah, I don't mind the trucks going away so much, but... But yeah, it's just crazy that we're getting down to that point.
Yeah.
And, shit, I'll be at Eldora in 10 days.
Oh, damn.
Which is wild. And then after that, I think the next race I'm going to is the World Finals. So, yeah, the race season for me is almost over, which is a bummer. There's a lot of racing to watch this weekend. Of course, Darlington, we all know about that. High Limit's going to continue their West Coast swing. Cars Tours in Florence, that's going to be a good show as always. I think that's on Friday or Saturday night. Is it Friday night?
It's Friday night. It's a big lineup for that. Dale
Also,
Jr.,
Kevin Harvick,
Barry, and Bubba.
Yep.
So
It's going to be a good show. The Smart Tour makes their return. They got a doubleheader this weekend. World of Outlaws is at Huset's. Lucas makes a trip to Portsmouth, and then the Baltus Classic at Eldora is on Sunday night, and that's it. We're here. Like, the road to Eldora is over. Like I said, I'm going to be there next week. Of course, there's a high limit show on Wednesday. We'll record the show before that happens, so we'll talk about it again. And then it's the World 100. So I can't believe that shit is about to happen. Of course, more details coming in about Scott Bloomquist's memorial service on Saturday before the big race. So, Brien, I recommend getting there nice and early so you can check that out. It's going to be a heavy but very cool thing to be a part of, to send Scott off into space. So,
Yeah.
And that's our short track septic tank for this week. And it's brought to you by this bottle of Crown Royal that is making me cough every time I drink out of it. So let's flush it on down.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's a powerful one. Yeah. It's like an airport toilet.
Mm-hmm.
So the video of the week this week was shown to me by a friend of the show, Mike from First 7-Inch Club, and it was one that I'd never seen before, never even heard of it happening, but Undercover Boss was a pretty big show, and in 2010, they decided to take Steve Phelps and disguise him as a fan that won an all-access contest with NASCAR to see how all sorts of different jobs are performed on race weekend, this episode was really fun to watch the first time around. Not as much the second time around because I knew what was happening, but the first time around was fun just because, like, as a longtime fan of the sport, I was just a little bit flabbergasted at some of the things that they had Steve doing. But we'll start this off. So again, this was 2010, and it was the week of the Coke Zero 400, which actually was my first race weekend in 8 years. I was actually at this race.
Oh, shit.
My first one at Daytona. This was right after I moved to Florida that year, and fun weekend of racing, and really was kind of what started me back on this journey and why I'm doing the show now. But in 2010, Steve Phelps, he was not yet the president of NASCAR, obviously. He was just the marketing director, manager, whatever you want to call it. And one thing that I didn't know, I guess, at all before watching this show was that Steve actually comes from the football world. He had worked with the NFL for, I think he said 14 years prior to joining NASCAR.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until I watched this. So.
Yeah, and I guess really the premise for this episode was, you know, Steve got hired in 2005 when NASCAR was really at its peak as far as, you know, money in the sport and TV and attendance and all that stuff. And by this time, the sport was on its decline. Now, they made it out to seem like the recession was the big thing that caused all this, but we all know that that's not totally true. There were a lot of different factors as to why the sport was in decline at this point, and you know, the car tomorrow, you know, people say Earnhardt. There were a bunch of different reasons. You know, the racing itself was kind of boring. They'd gone all these cookie cutter tracks, and a lot of the heart and soul of the sport was kind of gone at this point. But none of that really gets talked about. It's all just about the recession, apparently, which is kind of bullshit, but it is what it is. So again, they dressed up Steve. It didn't really dress him up. They basically just told him to not shave. Yeah, put a hat on him and don't shave for a week.
Change your name to Kevin.
Yeah, change his name to Kevin. So they start this off. The first job they have him do is to go to Hendrick, and they have him sit in on a team meeting, and they have him do some pit stop stuff. And this is where the reality part of it really starts to get annoying with me, because, like, I'm sure a lot of these crew guys didn't necessarily know who Steve Phelps was, but you're telling me Alan Gustafson and some of these other Hendrick higher-ups, like, didn't know who Steve Phelps was? I mean, come on. Like, there's no fucking way that at least somebody there didn't have an idea as to what was going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of very enthusiastic participants here and employees.
Oh, yeah. Everybody was... Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna, we'll get to it in a second here. I don't want to get too far ahead in the segment here, but yeah, I don't believe half the shit that we see on this.
Oh well, yeah, that's the whole thing. Was like watching this first time around with Mike. It was just like, this is all bullshit. Like, why would they have him do this? Why would they have him do that? But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
So again, they have him sit in on this team meeting, which was whatever. But then they have him go out to, if you've ever been to the Hendrick campus. Right beside the museum area is where the teams practice their pit stops. They have a little pit stall there and whatnot. So they have them go out there and actually, no, prior to that, what they had him do was do a bunch of training drills with other crew members, because apparently doing these training drills in the middle of the summer helps them prepare for the heat of the summer races. And really the one thing to note from this little segment is Steve shaking while he's like doing a push-up on a tire, and he just looks like he's about to die. I thought that was very funny. Yeah. And they have him work with a guy named Dion Williams, who Dion was a former, I think, pro football player, and hired on as part of NASCAR's Drive for Diversity program. And he was the first black pit crew member on Jeff Gordon's team, and I'm assuming all Hendrick.
Yeah.
So again, Steve is shaking like a leaf doing these drills, and then they have him go over to the car and try to put a tire on the car, and he fails miserably at this, and everybody's kind of just laughing at him. They said, Dion said that if he were to hire Steve on, or Kevin as they call him, that Kevin would be the water boy for the team, which makes sense. And then from here, again, part of these shows, it's not just seeing the undercover boss take on these tasks, but it's also kind of getting to know the people that are doing these jobs. And Dion talks about his history and how he got involved in the sport, and one of the things he mentions is he knows that his time is limited doing what he does. I mean, again, this is a job that is held by athletes, and they are constantly rotating out team members, so he is worried about what's going to happen when he ages out of this career. So that's one thing to note as the show goes on. From there, the next job that Steve does is working with the track operations crew at Daytona, and this is where it really starts to get ridiculous. They have Kevin go out and paint some stuff on the track. They have him repaint the start-finish line, which they make this out to be way more of a serious role than it is. And the guy, Glenn, is just kind of giving him shit the whole time and telling him he's fucking it up. And, they're making small talk. And then the funnier thing is they go over to one of the turns, and they have to climb up on the banking and re-stencil this artwork on the wall. Now, as someone who has actually done my share of stenciling, doing it with two people and having them hold the stencil like this is not how you do it. Like, you would definitely want to fasten the stencil to the wall and just do it that way. Like, you wouldn't have two people do it this way, but they end up dropping the stencil down and have to go. They look all disappointed that they've got to go down and get it, and it's just Glenn talks about when they're going up and fixing the walls after the races, that you can smell the wrecks on the walls, which is a fun tidbit, I guess.
Yeah. And
as he starts to get to know Glenn opens up about how his son has leukemia and the stress of dealing with that while working at the track. Also at Daytona, this is the portion of the show where Steve is going to be doing stuff, because again, this is a race weekend, and Steve is going to be doing stuff at the track, and he decides to live like a normal NASCAR fan in a very nice camper in the infield, which
a luxury RV.
Yeah.
Where he meets Andy Newsom, and
I mean,
God, I fucking wish. This is some baloney, brother.
I mean, this is something like a small portion of the NASCAR fan base does, but I mean, it's a small portion. Like, there aren't, there's 150,000 people at this race, but maybe 1,000 of them are if that, are coming in these campers. So, again, a lot of suspension of disbelief throughout this episode. His next job might be the funniest job. They have him work with. They have him work at a food concession stand. And one thing I guess I didn't necessarily. I've seen this at tracks before where people are doing like charity sales and selling, whether it be food or drinks or whatever, but usually they're advertised as such, like they're people are selling stuff for a reason, and I don't see any signage anywhere on this booth that like this is like almost a volunteer program for
the
some
Lions
high
Club
school,
or whatever.
like a high school cheerleading team. And this team, they only keep like 10% of the proceeds, which seems like a low amount for all the work you got to do. But
I feel like they would have made more money if they advertised cheerleaders.
Yep.
Yeah, like
Daytona.
Not to be a creep, but yeah, I guess have some cheerleaders.
Yeah, don't bring
out there
the
helping
actual
out.
high school cheerleaders out there because that's too far. But
No.
make a sign.
Or
Or send Kevin out there.
send Kevin on out there, and him and the girls can sling some chicken tendies. So yeah, the
Burn your
very,
hands.
very, very aggressive sales happening here, and this is what I was alluding to earlier. If anyone at a racetrack ever yelled at me to come buy tenders,
$4 Coke.
you fucking better believe I'm not doing that. I don't care what organization. Like, my mom needs money, and you better come over here. No, fuck that. I'm not. I will give my mom the money myself. You can stay behind your little table and do your thing. But yeah, I that is true though. A lot of these concessions do donate a lot. I don't know if that's still the case.
I don't know. I wasn't aware of this, so this was news to me. So.
But yeah, very good stuff. Brien has gotten up
He
and
quit
gone
again.
to the restroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
He went to go get some chicken tendies from that booth.
Yeah, he's currently out in the Applebee's parking lot waving people in to raise money for the March of Dimes. So, again, while he's gone, I love reality television. I know you love reality television, right? Truelove, yeah.
With every fiber of my being.
Yeah, and I love that no matter what the show is, it's always the same stock noises and music, like in every show. Like right before we get into the concession segment, there is they use the Kitchen Nightmares, the chicken is raw, or the walking is dirty noise, that weird like metal saw sound or whatever it is, as Mark Martin is on fire. And they kind of allude to it being like a problem. And it's like, this is like Steve Phelps is going to be mad about someone catching on fire. But I don't know. Hey, Brian's not back yet. Hang on.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Brian's computer crashed.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
BRB.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to be perfectly honest. This is where I stopped watching the video at this point. So I don't know what
Halfway through?
I didn't stop. I just got distracted. So I don't know what is going on next. So
Well, next is where he goes to the tire specialist for the David Rudiman pit crew.
yeah. Oh wait, I did see this, and this is where the guy starts talking shit about NASCAR a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. So, so job number 4, he's working with Scott Swift from Michael Waltrip's 00 Aaron's team.
A bunch of non-cheaters.
Yeah. Now, he is introduced to Scott by Ty Norris, who, again, Ty Norris, of all people on the show, has to know
Oh, for sure.
who Steve Phelps is. I mean, come on. Like, Ty is a marketing guy. He has to know. So, again.
You'd think.
He has to. No, he has to. So, this job, as Scott describes it, there's some science to it, but it's not rocket science. They have Steve moving tires around. They're checking tire pressures and all that stuff. At one point, Steve starts stacking tires upside down, which that's good job, bud. I don't know how the hell you do that wrong. And they're just like
That's
measuring.
why we have elimination playoffs now.
It's the first time seeing a tire in his life.
So they get to talking, and again, Scott apparently does not know who Steve Phelps is, and Kevin asks Scott, if he was in Mike Helton's role, how would he change the sport? And he gets into the fact that the sport is way more corporate now, and that means a lot of times his family and team members' families don't get to go to some of the races. So again, that'll get addressed at the end of the show. Steve uses the phrase "a two-edged sword" when describing the corporatization of the sport, which never in my life have I heard anyone say two-edged sword. Like, it's double-edged sword. How do you screw that up? Like, just speaking like an alien.
Like the heat was getting to him that day.
Yeah. And then they actually have him in the pits at the race. Surprisingly, I mean, again, it's not that hard of a job, but they have him scraping some of the used tires off so they can check the tread depth, which, again, this is Daytona. Tires are not really a factor at this point anymore. But it's a menial task that he gets to take part of, so... and also, they are pitted very close to Mark Martin, who, again, Steve, Kevin got to work with earlier on in the week. Mark gets involved in one of the wrecks, and his car is on fire. And the funniest moment is there are some of Jimmy Johnson's crew members helping Mark out of the car, but after pulling him out of the car, they proceed to carry him all the way across the pit stall, just like a little baby,
like a
completely,
child, yeah.
completely unnecessary. Like, one thing, pull him out of the car and let him walk, but nope, just 15 feet.
I'm sure Mark
completely out.
loved that. Yeah.
Yeah. Right in front of the cameras.
Yep.
Poor little Mark Martin.
Bless his heart. Yeah, the back of his car got very burned up, similar to Suarez.
Yep.
Yeah. And then from there, that's pretty much the end of Steve's jobs for the week. So now it's time. Yes. Now it's time for all these people to meet Steve in his proper role. And they show this clip of Steve changing from a Nationwide Series uniform into his suit, which he never wore the entire time on the show. So the continuity errors just keep adding up. And again, everyone is surprised. They're like, "Oh, Kevin, you're dressed up today." And the one guy, Glenn, he's just when it's revealed that Steve cracks, you're involved. You want to get involved in this? Thanks, bud. The one guy, Glenn, goes, "Oh, wonderful!" when Steve reveals himself, which I thought that reaction was very pleasant. So
Dion
now
was like, "You look like you should be on the news somewhere."
which, to be fair, he does. So now, this is when. Hold on one second. I gotta tell my dog to shut up.
Oh, he muted the mic.
Uh-oh. It's getting...
I had to.
Some of the forbidden German words.
So now this is when Steve gets to give his feedback to everybody and kind of, I guess they get prize, if you want to call them prizes or whatever, but they, at the very least, it's Steve addressing the feedback that these people give him throughout the show. So again, Dion talked about how he was worried about his career future, and what Steve did was say they were starting something called an industry council, and Dion was going to be one of the founding members of that council, and promised him a job in NASCAR. When his pit crew career was over, which is a kind of a big thing to promise to anyone. But I will say that I did do research on both him and Scott after the fact, and Dion is still involved in NASCAR. He actually he's a pit recruiter now, which makes sense, as part of NASCAR's Drive to Diversity program, and he also seems to do some pit road video stuff, I think, for the NASCAR website. So I guess Steve held up his end of the bargain, as he's still involved in the sport.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I know Dion as Rocco, but me and him met through social media years ago, and then we crossed paths at a race one time. So Rocco or Dion, is one of my favorite people to run into at a racetrack. He is hands down the nicest dude ever. He'll stop and talk shit with you for forever. He's amazing. So he has told me his story before, but I not in depth like this. So to go back and see the beginnings of it, and then to know personally like how it's going for him now. Like I really enjoyed that whole aspect of this episode.
That is super cool. Holy shit!
Yeah, he's great.
Next up, Cindy and Tom, the cheerleader family, they get their little reward, and it is a $10,000 donation, which I jokingly predicted that Steve was going to buy them cheerleader uniforms, and that's what they used the money for, was to buy them cheerleader uniforms. And also Tom, because Tom, the husband, was the actual race fan of the family.
He was the brother.
He promised him tickets to a race, so that was cool. Next up is Scott. Now, I couldn't find any super up-to-date info, but at one point he was doing tire specialist for Carl Edwards, and that was the last bit of information I found on him. So he did continue to work in NASCAR after this episode. For him, Steve promised that he would fly out his entire family to the race of his choice, and also promised tickets to every crew member on the 00 team, which I thought that was nice. And
I like that he said, "I'm still gonna call you Kevin."
Which also, too, one thing that I forgot to mention as they were pulling up to the NASCAR headquarters, that Scott declared that he had never seen the inside of these headquarters before. Now, how many actual crew members on his level ever go to the headquarters? I mean, come on. Like, why would you ever go there?
Yeah.
There's hundreds and hundreds of people that are doing similar jobs, and I'm sure only a fraction of them ever go to the Daytona offices. And then finally, the big reward is Glenn, the track operator. He gets not only a helmet signed by everyone who raced that weekend, but Steve promised that NASCAR would cover any treatment and any expenses that the team had, or the family had, for his son's leukemia. So that was probably the most authentic moment, I think, of the whole show, just with the way Glenn reacted to it. There weren't many authentic moments on the show, but that felt like one.
Yeah.
And then after that, I mean, the show wraps up. Steve addresses a bunch of the NASCAR staff at Daytona, and they show clips and they laugh at Steve being goofed on, and then they get the little montage of what happened to everybody on the show after the fact. So I don't know. I really enjoyed this. Anytime we can watch any sort of NASCAR content in these more mainstream TV settings, I'm always down to check it out, because I'm interested to see how NASCAR is portrayed by other people in the media, and how the outside world, I guess, would see it. So I really enjoyed this. What did you guys think?
Yeah.
Good old
For me, like,
fashion
this
reality
is-
TV,
This is a show that I used to watch a lot back in the day. So every single one of the Undercover Boss episodes follows the same format, where like the boss goes, and like the people that the producers or whoever has picked out always have like a sad backstory or something that they can do a nice warm fuzzy thing at the end for them for. So it always kind of follows the same pattern. So this was nothing out of that, but I definitely wasn't expecting to see Rocco in this, so that was obviously my favorite part.
Yeah.
But
That's so cool that you've actually interacted with him. I did not realize that.
So I guess he was like the first former pro athlete or whatever to like really make it in the sport, in the pit crews. So that's, like Brien said, that's his main job now. He's like really the head of why to this day we have so many pro athletes on pit crews now. Like that's his whole main gig. So he does a great job of that.
Yeah, this was definitely the beginning of that era for sure. I just didn't know it was him, so that's super cool. As I was saying to Truelove, about halfway through this, I got kind of distracted. Again, I've been on Dayquil for the past few days, and so the last half of it is sort of new to me. I did watch it, but I don't have much to offer, but like I said, I love reality TV, and it's always cool to see NASCAR in a context where it's displayed nationwide. And I thought this did a pretty good job of doing so, even if, obviously, like, all the things they did for these people, they were genuine and real and had actual effect. But, anything the France family is involved in is always going to have some structure to it. So,
but anything that doesn't have stop motion in it, great job, Brien.
Yeah, it's good. It's great video. Yeah.
Yeah, or Mike, whoever picked this up.
Yeah, and I've seen plenty of Undercover Boss episodes, but somehow I did not know this one existed. So,
well, I do my best to try to find any racing reality TV I can find. So hopefully this isn't the last of it. But this week we got some more stop motion. No, I'm kidding.
Fuck yeah, let's do it. I'm ready. I've had enough feel good shit. Let's drive me crazy.
So no. What we're actually gonna have is as Rob mentioned, next week is the World 100 at Eldora. He will be attending. Hopefully, I will be attending also. And
fuck.
I guess as part of a tribute to Scott Bloomquist, I found a couple videos to watch. The main one is going to be the 88 World 100 feature, which so this was when I was just searching Eldora. This was the first one that popped up, and it wasn't until I looked at the video afterward that this is Scott's first World 100 win.
Oh yeah.
Of the handful that he did win. But I also found two brief little videos. So the channel that I found, it's just titled BJ White, and it's just a lot of old late model stuff. Lots, like just tons and tons of old videos like this, and some fan cam stuff and all that stuff. But again, along with the feature, I got a couple short Bloomquist at Eldora clips. One that is just titled like Scott's first ever run at Eldora, and it's only like 3 minutes, and then a quick little clip from the 91 World 100. It's mainly just like some pit footage of Scott, and they talked to him for a minute. So 3 little
Super
videos.
Cool. I already want to talk about it. I'll save it.
Save it for next week. So a little more traditional content on the show next week. So
hell yeah, that's great.
Nice.
So yeah, as mentioned, we've got the NASCAR Cup regular season finale this weekend, along with a bunch of short track stuff going on. So definitely another action-packed racing weekend. I'm sure we'll be, like Ashley won't be watching Sunday, but I know Rob and I will be. So
oh yeah, the Southern 500. You can't be.
Turn my phone off and watch it Monday morning.
Yeah, don't contact Truelove on Sunday at all.
I will block you for life.
If you can find her on the internet.
Yep.
She's buried, folks.
Well, it's time
really,
to talk about that. So yeah, as always, you can find us on Instagram at Meet Me at Applebee's and on Twitter at Meet Me at the Bees. I am Speedway Screens on all the things, and speedwaytsj.etsy.com is the shop. Meemaw, there you go.
Find me at Leave Me Alone on Sunday.com.
It's a great URL. Yeah, that if that website doesn't exist already, that'll be Truelove's site for sure. That's good. Leave me alone on Sundays.com. You can also find me there, I guess. You can text me, but yeah, it's, you know what I'll be doing. I'll be watching fucking Darlington. Rob Motes _ unofficial. My band's called These Wild Plains. Don't have much to talk about this week. Already talked about all of it. But yeah, I will be at Eldora next week. Again, there'll be one more episode before I actually hop on a plane and head out. But if you're planning on being in Ohio, I will be there every night except for the Flow Racing show on Wednesday. So if you want to come have a beer, please do. I've got nothing but time. I'm just going to be sitting there eating fried cheese balls and drinking beers with Kyle and all the dogs out there. Hopefully Bobby Marcos, if you're listening to this, which I doubt you are, but if you are, he's supposed to be there, so come on out.
Nope.
Come find me, buddy. Let's party.
Hopefully he shows up.
He should. So, but yeah, I'd love to see everybody. And again, like Eldora is a magical place, and I cannot wait to put my little tootsies on the ground there next week. I just can't believe it's happening. Last year I went, it was very last minute. I think I knew like 5 days ahead of time. before I bought my tickets. This year, I've had a lot of time to think about it, and it just doesn't feel real that I'm going to the World 100 for the first time. So, yeah, if you're there, hit me up, please. Let's have a good time.
I'm glad you're getting to go back this year.
I'm so stoked, dude. I can't express.
Did Brien quit?
He did.
No, I'm here. I'm listening. I will hopefully be there. Like I said, I'd probably just be there Saturday.
Yeah.
But yeah, I should be there for Saturday. So.
Hell yeah! Make sure you get your pit pass early, bud. I'm telling you.
I guess I'll figure that out this week.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, with that, it looks like our check is here. So thank you for once again joining us at Applebee's, and we will talk to you next week.